good evening from Arch McPherson. Tonight, in the very stadium where England played out their World Cup qualifying draw with Italy last month, Lациo in the light blue shirts on the right-hand side, who carved out a very similar no-scoring draw themselves 2 weeks ago in Russia, face a Volgograd club which very proudly claimed the scalp of Manchester United in the same UEFA Cup trophy 2 years ago. And Volgograd immediately on the attack. You're watching this game live on Eurosport, and Lazio fifth in Serie A at the moment are fully aware of the quality of this team. For if Volgograd win their game against Spartak Moscow this weekend, they'll become Russian champions. And a rather rueful look on the face there of Luca Marchiani, Italian international goalkeeper of some note, now 31 years of age. And I suppose on an occasion like this, in the previous no-scoring draw, which is not a bad result for either side, in fact, experience will be one of the prime assets. And surely Lazio are blessed by having one of the most experienced Europeans in Roberto Mancini, who at the age of 33 stunned everybody by joining his former boss Sven-Göran Eriksson from Sampdoria down here in Rome after 15 years with Sampdoria. And there's a chance immediately there, the ball coming into Esipov, and he's angry with himself. And you could see immediately that this team are not going to settle back for what you might call the normal Russian schematic way of playing football that is very organized and patient. They want to hit Lazio immediately, and almost did. Was touched on there by Mancini, who'll be lying just in behind the strikers. Wow, that kind of start almost took the breath away. As I said, not a bad result for either team, nothing each. You can look at it both ways. No goals in the game, which is pretty good for Lazio, and I suppose not having conceded any themselves, the Russians come here with a fair amount of confidence, except that the away goal is so enormously important. And I'm sure that's preyed on the minds of both managers before this game. And of course, Lazio are blessed, of course, with Sven-Göran Eriksson. You know, anytime a job becomes vacant, especially in the United Kingdom, this man's name crops up, Sven-Göran Eriksson, who's coached in 5 different countries, 7 major clubs, and won 2 different titles. The Swedish and the Portuguese, plus taking his clubs right through to European finals. An amazing coach. But the Russians looking very strong. Remember, this is coming towards the end of their league season. So it might be a kind of demob happy approach to this game by them. Europe being a kind of bonus. That's Giuseppe Favalli knocking that away. Favalli coming in, try to send that down the left-hand side. And of course, with a player like Casaraghi up front, the 28-year-old striker, who's well enough known, I'm sure, to Eurosport viewers in the number of games he has played, not just for his clubs, Lazio, Juventus, but for the Italian national team as well. 34 times he played. And he's a kind of traditional British striker, if you like. That's not a bad ball played in there to Janenko. Janenko trying to pick that up. That's number 13, Alexander Zerno, one of the younger players on the side. Well, I can sense that Lazio are not enjoying this one little bit. Listen to the whistles of the crowd in the background. It's not derision yet. I think it's just to put the Russians off. But if this carries on, it will certainly become derisive. Now here's the break they wanted. Mancini now, can he cut it back a little bit strong? Casaraghi laying it back in and up the post. And there's Casaraghi. Oh, what a wonderful goal that. The ball played by Jugovic, hammering it in, and it looked as if Lazio were going to be extremely unfortunate. And you know, that is a very difficult ball for anybody to take coming off a post. And 9 times out of 10, even the most accomplished strikers will tend to loft a volley over the crossbar. Watch that again. This is what I meant by that. And yet, he kept it under the bar. Positive finishing. Laid it back, and Jugovic getting his head down the right way. That in itself was a great strike. But from a rebound, I think you give this man 11 points out of 10. Why, he tended to get the side of his foot to that. I think if he'd gone and bit into the ball deeply, it might have gone over. He seemed to kind of control it with the left side of the foot, and that's exactly what Lazio, after having sustained a lot of pressure in the first 5 minutes, wanted. That's, I make it 7 minutes gone by my watch, which is obviously out. We'll keep that official time up there, as Lazio go 1 goal up. Mancini giving a little instruction. As I said, it was almost earth-shattering when this man decided to leave Sampdoria. 15 years in all. Amazing number of goals he scored in that time. In 6 of these 15 years, his goal tally went into double figures. And that's not counting the enormous influence, and perhaps that's the most important aspect of his play, the enormous influence he had on other players. Looked like a free kick to me, but well worked out eventually. Janenko. Mancini. Go back there by Favalli. The crowd like that. Giovanni Lopez. On then to Nesta, Alessandro Nesta. There he is. One of the younger players, only 21. Right in the center of that defense there. Of course, this is a very vulnerable situation for Lazio, because if the Russians were to score a goal here, then Lazio have got to go forward again. So it's not just a case of guarding this lead. I think they've got to increase this. Polonegro, number 2, signed from Brescia, 93. Digging in very hard. Not exactly a goal-scoring fullback, but he does score the odd one. He scored it every season since he came to Lazio. Lazio have only ever won the championship once, back in 1974, and the cup once. While they're overshadowed by the great neighbours, whom they beat, by the way, at the weekend by 3-0, and to the great delight of Sven Eriksson, who has now coached both Lazio at the moment and Roma in the past. So he's a kind of love-hate relationship with the supporters in this city. Tried to play the ball wide, well read there by Alexandre Shemarko. I think that may have just got out. And with a bird there, number 5, Giuseppe Favalli, came up from Cremonense. When the first year after Cremonense had been promoted, they got Favalli, Lazio, back in 92. He's been a fairly regular attender. Quickly back to the goalkeeper, and Platon Zaharchuk, 26, whose ambition it is to get into Western European professional football. Well, don't they all want that nowadays, not surprisingly. just the slightest little bit of hesitation, but eventually swept away by Vladimir Nedved. Pushing forward is Pavel Nedved. Remember that face from the European Championships? He was quite outstanding for the Czech Republic. And is paying handsomely the faith placed in him by Eriksson, being the top goal scorer in Serie A at the moment, Nedved. Kabali, Kazaragi. As I said about big Kazaragi here, he's more a traditional British centre forward, tall, broad-shouldered, a kind of target man. He's always aroused controversy in Italian footballing circles whether he ought to be the man to lead a national side. Many people saying he just simply doesn't have the subtlety and the nuances to his play. Well, you could say that about him, but nevertheless he still scores goals. Except the reason Juve let him go was he had a season when he almost totally dried up and only scored one goal. But all strikers go through that period. That's Pavel Nedved. And Kazaragi just beside him, playing just in behind Kazaragi Nedved. Just hooked away. Nedved, by the way, came from Sparta Prague, and I think if he had hung about just a little bit longer, he might have made himself some money, because that's one of the clubs that has been bought over, 25% of it bought over by the English financial combination, which is investing in many clubs in Europe at the moment. That was his former club. Before there, Vladimir Nedved, and despite the kind of German-sounding name, very much a Russian. Player we really want to watch in this game is number 3 for Volgograd. That is Oleg Verenentikov. There he is, right in the middle of the picture there, who back in August became the first Russian player to score 100 goals in league football. He's the kind of fulcrum of this team, and also a goal scorer coming from deep. He's also a player that reminds me very much of Yuri Nikiforov. Right at the center of the Russian defense. And he and Bulachenko and Gerashenko will surely be in the Russian squad, which is going to Naples next weekend to see if they can qualify for the World Cup finals, although it's going to be hard going for them. Trotting back there, Alexander Shamarko. Matthias Almeida there, just looking very confident in the ball. Well, the Russians started very briskly, but I think that rebounded goal, if I could describe it that way, has balanced Roma, Lazio, and in this Olympic Stadium, I think with the crowd beginning to get a little bit rattled with the way they had started shakily, that goal has settled everybody's nerves. And City with that little dab forward again. Touched out by Esipov. On by Veretnikov. Niedergaus. Free kick. I think the play of Vladimir Jugovic is going to be very important in this game as well. He's been outstanding for Yugoslavia You might have seen him in that amazing game where they beat Hungary by 7-1. He scored a goal and had a hand on others. And now he's back in this Lazio side. But the Russians only need one goal to get back into it again. Played on there by Beretnikov. He's going into the box. There's a ball inside and it's just missed by Bilachenko. Kazaragi claiming that he might have been pushed there. Referee is from Slovenia, Mr. Michel. So first 15 minutes gone, Lazio looking good. Almeida. Lopez. And now they're taking careful look about their midfield now. Not rushing into it. Italian teams are very difficult to dislodge once they get their noses in front. And I think we're seeing, or will see, an example of that tonight. Kazaragi coming back just a little bit deeper, and I think the effect of that is to draw the central defender out, but they're becoming just a little bit careless in the middle of their own half. Taken away by Favalli. Just cut off there by Esipov. Coming right across, and this man playing through the middle, Vladimir Niedergaus, is looking very impressive at this stage. Putting him up front, almost on his own. And beginning to make this Lazio defense look slightly indolent at times. It seems to be a rather casual approach as they try to pick the ball up in midfield. I noticed about the Russian national side, this ability they have to knock the ball about, one-touch football at its very best at times. The only flaw about it is that they tend to go circularly. Feel as if they become disorientated, lose sight of the primary objective, the penalty area. Did that against Bulgaria when they dominated the game so much, and so many Russian club teams like Volgograd have the similar sort of style. Just kept in. Nice play there by Janenko. Nobody in support though. But a rueful look on the face of Mancini again. There's Eriksson. Kazaragi back again, and when he does that, as I say, he's pulling the central defender Gerashenko a little bit forward, hoping he gets a touch, and into that vacant area will come Pavel Nedved or even Jugovic. That's the captain I was talking about, Oleg Berenenkov. It's a one-touch, and just a little bit over-elaboration there. I think that could have done with a little chip from Berkatov. Now Kazaragi gets away. I think he really must lay it away. He's got three men quickly back with him. Played here to Mancini. Well, the marker there, Nikolai Olenikov, He's a young player, not nearly the experience of his direct opponent, Kazaragi there. He's only 22. And just offside. But the original move came because Nikolai Olenikov simply slipped on a pitch that's decidedly greasy. Fuzer laid it on just a little bit too much there. Fuzer, one of the experienced players, almost 30 now. And up comes Alessandro Nesta. Tried to put a little bit of discipline into the play in midfield. And you know, I think there's a goal in Russians. Difficult to anticipate if Lazio are going to increase their score, but I do believe the Russians have a goal in them. And I think Eriksson, the coach, is experienced enough to realize that there are three dangerous men out there, and the one that really got to watch is the man I've been talking about, playing cunningly just in behind his strikers, Oleg Veretennikov. And that's the gentleman in the frame at the moment. Brought down free kick. Reminds me of Oleg Blokin. I wonder if any of you can remember that wonderful player for Dynamo Kiev, left-sided player, and he took free kicks like that with his left foot. And so the 28-year-old Russian captain leading from the front. Look at the freedom there. I was talking about a slightly casual quality amongst the Lazio defenders, but I have to say number 11 is having a torrid time of it. Nikolai Olenikov being pulled out of position too often, and that was very close. In fact, the assistant referee, whom I prefer to call linesman, by the way, being a traditionalist, it might just have been about half a second too slow there, catching that. Pushed forward by Nedved, but again, nobody running onto that. Here comes Zhenenko. There's again. Just losing too many balls there. That's wonderful play by Mancini. Delicate little touches like that has characterized his play through the years, as I said earlier. Jurkovic, a different kind of player from Mancini. There's a good balance between the pair of them. And I'm sure there's only one man who could have persuaded Mancini to uproot himself after 15 years, and that was the coach, Eriksson, with whom he played 5 seasons. Nedved! I think it was always going to the side. It might have looked spectacular from the other side of the stadium, but I think the goalkeeper had it well enough covered. Watch him. And he got down to it well. Covering up at that near post. A little bit obvious, the shot. Hooked away there. Olenikov getting it away. Oh. Sudden and almost catching the goalkeeper. Vitaly Abramov away on the left-hand side. And look at the little flick high there here. And that was a very good header. And I think what surprised the Russians was the very fact that Paulo Negro got into that position for the first time in the game. He's been playing a much deeper role, and then he pops up in the Kazaragi position with that header. 20 minutes left of this first half, which has been, I must say, a very fluid game of football. The Russians are not out of it, far from it. This is player again, Esipov, settling for the throw. Valery Esipov, 26 years of age, joined the club a couple of seasons ago. There he is again. Free kick. And as I said, they have a very important game this weekend. That's the game they really want to win. I'm not saying they're diminishing the importance of this game, but they want into the Champions League. And if they win at the weekend, that will beckon. Although Spartak Moscow, curiously enough, their opponents need only draw in Volgograd and they're the champions. So that's at the back of their minds as they're playing now, neatly put forward by Olenikov. And Fuze stepping in. There's a sudden shot and down goes Markigiani. And I think it was his positioning in front of goal more than anything else that made the goal secure. Neatly flicked in there by Niedergaus, and then the shot. His body behind it. Markigiani right down to that. Played 8 times in the national side and indeed played in a rather unfortunate game for him when he played again in Sicily and conceded a bewildering own goal in a game of the European qualifying champions. Oops, and the goalkeeper. What's he playing at? Well, I think for a start he was very slow coming off his line. Now he's a last line defender. Now watch this again. This has now become one of the most contentious areas of modern football. It swept away. It looked as if that touched Kazaregi's arm, and he was fouled there. And fortunately for the goalkeeper, as you could see, there's a defender just tucked in behind him. He wasn't the last line defender, so it's a yellow card. Although I have to say, in British football recently, we've seen goalkeepers who really ought to have been sent off for last line infringements. Some are, some aren't. This, a yellow card and a free kick. Mancini tried to drive it round and off the wall, corner kick. Scant reward for the effort. And that in fact was put in by Diego Fusa. Fusa coming up for that. 5 years with Lazio, played only 1 season for Milan. There he is again. Fusa. And he tried, as you could see, following the trail of that ball round, that curl towards the top left hand. Off it goes again, easing the pressure. Now they have to watch themselves because we've already seen how quickly Niedergaus and Zernov can break up front. So Fusa will get back as quickly as he can. Nedved put that forward, and there's the hesitation again. They're not looking all that good. The central player there, Janenko, along with Olenikov. Get the free kick out of that though. Valley coming in a bit heavy. I'm quite sure Eriksson wants to do well in Europe this season. Lazio 5th in Serie A at the moment, although they have the equal best defensive record. They've only conceded 10 goals. Just under 15 minutes remaining of the first half. Well, I stuck my neck out and said I think the Russians have got a goal in them. Nothing against Lazio, but they just had this sudden spurt forward which looks potentially very dangerous. And the captain Oleg Veretennikov is lurking there like a wise old fox, just tucked in, as I said, behind the strikers. But the one thing you always find about Eriksson's teams is their accomplished tactics. They look solid. All his sides have looked as if they know exactly what they're doing from the first whistle. Goalkeeper Platon Zaharchuk, as I said, wants to get to the west, and he does. Anybody buys him, they're getting a character. 6'3", and there he is. Didn't need to rise all that much, did he? Played by Abramov. Moves nicely with the ball on the left-hand side, and he ran out with support there. Jugovic going back and defending that very well indeed, Jugovic. As I said recently, he's been in splendid form for Yugoslavia. That's Jugovic there, came from Juventus this very season. And of course he played, the reason he's here again is Eriksson. He played 3 seasons for Eriksson at Sampdoria. So it's like the Eriksson repertory company. And it shows you the great faith the players have in them, when they're prepared to move clubs to come here to join them. And that was Mancini. He's not as quick as he used to be, Mancini, of course, but the mind is still very sharp, and the feet twinkle little glittering moments of magic from time to time. He's a thinker in the game, and oh dear, does the modern game need thinkers. Yes, captain. Nedved, neat little turn inside, well read though. And just towards the end of this half, but clearly Lazio are getting to dominate midfield. Well, that would be a pity there. Pavel Nedved. Kazaragi. Nice, neat little turn. That's beautifully judged and oh! What a marvelous goal! There's the maestro we were talking about, Mancini. And that's as good a goal as I've seen in Europe all season. A glorious piece of play by Kazaragi, who's not noted for his delicate skills, and yet it did require that to turn his man and float that over to this great veteran of Italian football. Keeps his eye on the ball. That was ramrod straight. Perfect balance, not deflected. Nothing on the periphery upset him. And in goes number 2. Roberto Mancini at his very best. And at the age of 33, coming up for 34, it's glorious to see a man who's retained, I would say at least 95% of the potential in him. Another part of the reason he left Sampdoria, of course, was he was just fed up doing it every day for them, or every game. He needed a break. And if the Russians don't watch themselves, they're going to be swept aside in this first half. Although, I have to say, that goal came right out of the blue. It's not an easy strike, you know, when the ball is played diagonally across you like that. It never is. So, in watching this game, you've seen two outstanding finishes. Both of them extremely difficult. Stadium, which had been coming a little bit staid, it's come alive again. The coach of the Volgograd team, Viktor Prokopenko, came here with high hopes. Russians have only finished ever fourth in the former USSR League. Kazaragi again, beautiful play, and that time I think the ball just angled too near the 18-yard line. And what an influence Kazaragi's had in the game, almost laying on the third goal there, having scored the first, and then produced beautiful little touch for the finish by Mancini. Goes inside again. I have to say, I talked to many Italians who insist to me, and I meet them all around Europe and even at home, that Mancini should be in the national side and should go to France. And if I agree with them, I usually get a free plate of spaghetti. So after that, I think I'll be putting on a lot of weight after watching that goal. There's a great favorite amongst the Italians. May well be they're thinking of a substitution here. Dario Marcolin getting ready to come on, I think. May change their mind. Russians have lost their way. Might be just a bit too much of a skid in that ball, and I think it's just gone over the line. While the Russians will continue to play in that remorseless way of theirs, they're kind of mechanical. Might be just lacking a little bite up front, but they'll stick to their game plan. The same system will be applied. Kazaragi been quite outstanding in this first half. Try to get that to Jugovic. There he is, as I said about him. He's been holding together not just this midfield, but that of Yugoslavia. still thinking of a substitution. I think they may wait until the halftime interval, which is almost upon us. But 3.5 minutes plus stoppage time, and Giuseppe Favali has a cut. And of course that's not acceptable nowadays. Has to have that looked at immediately. Oh, that's far too obvious, and he really could be punished for this. Master going forward and just touched away. Kazaragi hovering inside. I think they may be just holding on to him until the halftime whistle goes. Corner kick. Trying to catch them well upfield this time. The Italians almost defending on the halfway line there. And they're now beginning to mark Alexander Zernov out of the game. One of the younger players, there he is, just turned 23. He's very fast. Scored 6 goals in the Russian Championship. And that cluster of light blue shirts there is principally the reason the Russians cannot get moving. There's no maneuverability about them in midfield at the moment. Jugovic at his very best, trying to unwind that mess in midfield that was there, that conglomeration of players. And they're squeezing the Russians out of this. Just a little bit too clever by half, too dainty at the moment, the Russian side in midfield. Mancini. Lopez. Ginesta. Negro taking off, wanted the return pass there from Fuzer. La Almeida. Going and begging again, they're not clearing it very well. Is he going for goal? And a great save. And this time he did vindicate himself. Zarachuk making sure the angle was properly narrowed. Powerful shot by Negro. Paulo Negro. 4 years with Lazio. They said he doesn't score all that many goals, but he did manage to get 3 last season. And oh dear, they're looking vulnerable for the high ball across the goal. There goes Kazaragi. And I think throughout all the Italian footballing ranks at the moment, is the feeling that players like Kazaragi or Mancini there with a header, or even Negro, they're all possible candidates for France now. The Italians having given themselves a wonderful chance now to qualify. Notice how the old Maestro tried to look that up, get underneath it. By and large, you should be up above the ball for the header, not that time. Confident though they must be at this stage. They must watch the lurking Russians, who I'm sure will come out with an even stiffened resolve in the second half to get that important goal, away goal. Only one result would take this to extra time, of course, nothing each. So that's finished. Countdown to the end of this half. Well, I said the Russians would stick to the game plan, but they've got to do it with more conviction than that. They seem a decidedly dispirited team at the moment. Ooh, that was high, right across the chest. Nedved with a few words, probably in his native language to be safe. Tried to get it there. Flag went up on the far side. That man has played a notable part. He really does look on form. Now 28 years of age, Kazaragi, so there's a lot of football still in him as the Slovenian referee brings the first half to an end, and that's a man who's made the difference. Kazaragi, scorer of a first very difficult goal indeed. The ball coming back to him, and there's Eriksson, Sven-Göran Eriksson, looking immaculate and as calm as ever. Even when his team is in distress on the park, it always appears that he is inwardly very calm indeed. Close of the European season, Roberto Mancini, after a magnificent play by Kazaragi. A goal scored in the 31st minute of the first half for Lацио against Volgograd to make it 2-0 in the most spectacular fashion. We'll be watching the second half of this game live after our next break. With the Olympic Stadium, that was a very brief glimpse we had there of Dino Zoff as the interviews take place. We're about to see the second half live. Lациo leading Volgograd by 2-0. Here's some of the early action and this first goal. Watch this strike coming up here. As I said at the time, it's never at all easy to take a rebound off the post and to control the shot, and he did. That left foot of his. And then there's absolute gem by any standards. The veteran, almost 34 years of age, kept his balance, kept his eye on the ball. A kind of almost laser-like concentration, which is absolutely necessary for that kind of cross-floated ball, and it paid off. Jubilant supporters, 2-0 up, but still a long way to go. So you saw some of the substitutes there, and quite clearly you saw the back of the Signori, who's no doubt admiring the way that Mancini finished that off. So we're about to start the second half. Now, just before the end of the first half, we saw Dario Marcolin beginning to warm up. He now is on as a sub. That's the mastermind behind it all. One little word, but I'm sure a lot of words were spoken in the dressing room at halftime. Jugovic played in that Juventus side which won the European Cup. And now they have officially to indicate the substitution of Lациo. Off we go into the start of the second half live. You're watching on Eurosport live the second half. Lациo against Volgograd. The Russian side, which knocked out Manchester United a couple of seasons ago in this very competition, are now trailing by 2-0. I did say at the start, and it might almost have sounded to you like damning with faint praise about this man you're seeing here, Kazaragi, that he's not noticed but his great skill, more a kind of powerful, straightforward sort of player. And yet, here's the Russian, trying to get forward there. Well, a sudden break there by Junanenko right forward, and I do think when the ball came back to Berkatov, he couldn't believe he had the opportunity. Well, he did the same in the first half. This is almost a replica. Zubka, the substitute, who's now on for the Russians. He was a man who fed that through eventually. And quite clearly, the coach, Victor Prokopenko, has decided to add somebody up front with pace again. He again is a young player, 22, and from what we know of him, he's pretty fast. Mustn't take any chances, and Mark Gigiana has not had all that much to do in goal. One kind of half save in the game, leaving themselves exposed as Mancini tried to feed that out to the left. Favalli was coming up on that left-hand side. Mancini will remember that goal for a long time. He scored many a great goal in his day. In his first season for Sampdoria, he only scored 4, but he was a maker of goals more than anything else. His best season was 93 when he scored 15, and then, when I say his best, it was equaled last season for Sampdoria. Scored 15 goals in 33 games, and now here he is, leading the way as the elder statesman amongst these young Italian players. And there he is, back defending, almost as a right fullback. Nice little ball forward to Jugovic, and why Kazaragi was given that amount of freedom. Right in behind the two of them. They were ball watching. One of the cardinal sins. That ball is out. You can't say the Russians have been overawed by coming into the Olympic Stadium here, because they had a much better start than Lazio. And indeed you saw that if you just joined us at the start of the second half. You saw that kind of whirlwind start they had here in the second half. That's very similar to what happened with the first. So they acclimatized and adapted themselves very well to this setting, which can be a little bit intimidating. Mancini plays it out, goal kick. It really does say a lot for Eriksson that he takes the older man back into his team there, because I think he knows exactly, Mancini knows exactly what Eriksson wants of players, and if he gets an older hand beside him like that and has that influence on the field, then Eriksson gets closer to the players. He doesn't become a kind of remote figure. And this is his first season with Lazio. So it was a wise political plus footballing move by him. Forward by Olinikov. A little bit of a misunderstanding, and what I think Lazio did very well was crowd the Russians in the middle period of the first half. Of course, those who like to read portents into different events in life will be looking at this game between an Italian and Russian side and seeing if it's acting as some kind of symbol as to what will happen a week on Saturday when the Italians meet Russia. Free kick. Well, the Italians can kill the game in the sense that the Russians really do need now to score a couple of goals. But if they scored one early in this second half, I think then it would be a test of nerve. Mancini, by the way, you see him tackling there. He's played in defense as well. saying about Mancini there, he's also been a defender, played everywhere for the side, played up front as for a period as a straightforward striker. Very much an accomplished all-round footballer. The nearest to Roberto Baggio, I think, in recent times. Face there. Alzhinenko. Negro tried to put that through. Number 11 there, Olinikov, hasn't looked at all comfortable in this game. He's only turned 22 and really up against a very wily, experienced player. Nice little change of pace there, I like that. That was by Esipov. Turned around here by Veritenikov, that's the captain, and he might get the corner kick out of that. Indeed he does. Wearing that armband very proudly. If you're just joining us, he just scored this season his 100th goal in the Russian league, which is a record for his country. Plays all around the fringes, but is very deadly when he comes into the box. Nicely swept away eventually by Nesta, who came in there. Ball is out. Little soliloquy from the captain. No peace of mind for him at the moment. Mancini has enjoyed himself. Who wouldn't have to scoring a goal as he did? Well offside. I think with Kazaragi, it's sometimes very dangerous to get close to him. I think you've got to stand off him just a little bit. Good run down that far side. Almeida came in. Backed up by Favalli. Is playing it very cannily at the moment, Fuzer. Not able to keep that in. Jugovic. Fuzer, the ball played across by Fuzer. Now beginning to be called almost a veteran of this side. Been with Lациo for 6 years. Fuzer. Just a little bit too obvious that time. Yes, this man is playing well within himself. Picked up by Negro to Almeida. Then Favalli. Kazaragi. Getting players forward, that's why they held on to the ball there, but again too obvious to Kazaragi. And a mistake that time by Cherenko. And the ball goes loose, and the Russians were very lucky to survive that. Just about 11 minutes into the second half. This is where the passing has let them down, in that area there. Jugovic. Kazaragi trying to get it forward. And now Veritenikov. Neat little pass forward. Being snapped up very readily. The play is very edgy and is being broken up far too often in midfield. Kasuagi trying to emulate the strike by Mancini earlier on. He's lying back into it. He doesn't have Marcu. I think that was a more difficult effort. Little hitch kick there. The ball swerving too much to his right-hand side initially. Free kick as substitute Marcolin goes in there. There he is. Picked off too easily though. Here's the captain again. Beginning to get more and more involved. That's a decent enough ball there. And he's claiming the corner, but I don't think he's going to get it. Nesta had followed him all the way and he kept his eye on this ball, and that was definitely the correct decision. Yes, Dario Marcolin, the substitute who came on there, is only his second season with the club. 25-year-old player. Started off life with Cremonense, then came into the junior squad for a couple of years. Now here, once again lurking on that far side there for Valli, and then Mancini. There's Prof. Somebody has to be coming from the left to make that a meaningful pass. He is a very good player, this captain, number 3, Veritenikov. And once again, look at the way the light blue jerseys had massed there, making that roll right across the 18-yard line, almost impenetrable. Surely the keeper is it? Oh, brilliantly driven in, but right behind it there, Jugovic, but offside. There was no time to think about that. Nicely set up here by Fuzer. And he just took it in his stride. Offside he may have been, but I think he really failed to angle it the correct way. Just surviving that long through ball again. Well, that wasn't offside. Oh dear, dear, dear. You see that far too often. It's when the ball is played. And he was distinctly in line. In fact, he might have been just behind the line of the last player. There are too many unfortunate decisions in modern football about that. It just got worse and worse. Well, that was better play by the youngster Olinikov, number 11. That's the captain again. Abramov. There's a nice little ball for somebody running onto, and I think he was picked up again, and this man is now beginning to purvey some beautiful, telling little passes forward. And he'll have to be very closely marked by the Lazio midfield. The name Veritenikov. Signori. Looks as if he's warming up. This is the man I was talking about. Played there to Niedergas. Better run into the box there, and the referee rightly waving play on. I think the original shoulder charge came from the Russian, and it was, after all, a perfectly legitimate one. In by Veritenikov and Marchigiani. Right across to it. Started off with Torino Marchigiani in goal. now been 4 years here and pretty much a regular all the time. 5 years with Torino. Jugovic. I think if the Italians were to score another goal, Jugovic would be having an early bath. It would just simply take him off. That would really put it well beyond the Russians. And even at this stage, they are now beginning to look a rather paler imitation of the team which played in the first 15 minutes of this game, posing a lot of threats. Now here's Abramov, looking for the return. Nobody coming in at the back to defend, and they're putting too much work in the ball, and that was a rather frantic finish eventually. Benetkov, and I think the crowd not at all happy at being that player being given so much freedom. And Venturin is now about to come on. Giorgio Venturin, in his second season with Lazio. Well, he had played with Lazio back in 1995, and they let him go again to Cagliari, and now he's back with Lazio. So 2 subs used, and quite clearly they want to tighten up the game. Very much a midfield player, Giorgio Venturin. Played in the national side once, about 29, so he's got a lot of experience. I wouldn't exactly say the Italians now want to shut up shop, but I think they're being just a little bit cautious now. You saw Volgograd with a great deal of the play in the last 6 or 7 minutes, and this is the man who's inspiring it all. Veritenikov. Played square by Abramov. Now Berketov. Esipov. Here's the captain again. Almost getting it through that defense, which is looking pretty solid now. Negro, Nesta, Lopez, and Favali right across the back four. Looking very solid and forcing the Russians into rather pointless shooting like that from way out against the mass defense. They're finding it difficult to pick their way through this. And quite clearly Lazio, through the instructions of their coach Sven-Göran Eriksson, have decided to play on the counter-attack. Stands there, that solitary but composed figure on the sidelines. And you know, one of the ways a manager can influence players in situations is by body language, not just what he screams or says at them. And when they look across and see the calm figure of Eriksson, they know things are going all right. Cheranko. Veritenikov tried to get into the penalty spot there. He's pushing himself forward all the time. Bit of careless in the way that ball was floated in there by Abramov. Nobody up there. Well, Kazaragi can't be everywhere. He was going through the middle, and that ball was played far too wide. Do well to keep that when in, and he can't. Well, they're giving it a good shot now, Volgograd. I do think the style of the game is being dictated yet by Lazio. They've decided to allow the Russians to come forward just a little bit. Another substitution coming up here. And number 8 comes on. Gulachin are on for the Russians. It's a very, very difficult situation for the Russian coach with an enormously important game to come this weekend, which if they won it would be possible entree into the European Cup next year. And yet here they are playing to stay in this competition, 2 goals behind, and 1 or 2 of the players beginning to show signs of wear and tear. Play the ball around very well from time to time. Determined performances. Can it be taken up? It is by the captain, and that was great control, that. Taking it down with his left foot and letting fly immediately. And you can understand why that man scored so many goals, over 100 now in the Russian league. Italian defenders coming right in very quickly. Lopez turning his back on it. I don't blame him. Nesta and Lopez together. And Zhirenko, the man who had played it in from the right-hand side, getting some attention there, but that shows you the potential danger of the Russian captain. A little limbering up there by Signori. Just a break in the game. Giuseppe Signori, one of the great Lazio players, scorer of so many goals. Back in 93-94, the top goal scorer, 26 and 23 goals respectively, which in Serie A is phenomenal. 24 in 96. Still not being brought on yet. That's a decent ball and up the line. Machigiani, an excellent save there. That really had to be. Well, that's a piece of very bad luck for the Russians. Excellently taken corner kick there, which was swerving in viciously. And he had to dive one way and push his arms the other. And Mancini at the near post was taken on by the sudden, and it must have been very late pitch of the ball. Still a flicker of hope for the Russians. Well, I'm quite sure Eriksson decided on holding down bolting the stable doors before the horse bolts in a way, but I think they're playing just a little bit too far back now. He's really making them tick. Playing his heart out. That's brilliant play by the captain. What a dreadful finish. After quite magnificent play by Veretenikov, an awful finish like that, and he should get down on his knees, Abramov, and apologize to his captain. Look at that. Wonderful chance there. And surely the message has got through to the Italian defenders that if they mark the captain out of the game, then nothing ill will befall them. Russians dominating the play, and isn't this typically Italian at this stage, and that was just touched away. Lopez got his head to it. They really are living dangerously. Abramov gives the ball away, and I think in more distinguished company, the captain, Veritenikov, would shine even more brilliantly, not getting the benefit of rather pedestrian play by too many players around him. Casaraghi. Markarin. And that's flicked on us suddenly from way down the other end of the pitch. Up pops Mancini again. Beautifully hit and run, and I think trying an elegant finish. Wow, the warnings have been clearly posted by the Russians, and again offside. Out-stepped the two defenders there, Olejnikov and Charko. But time running out nevertheless. Well, Casaraghi and Mancini have certainly taken the honours for the Italians, but I must say Veritenikov is my kind of player. Beautiful on the ball to watch, very strong, difficult to dispossess, and clearly he can hit the ball cleanly. Mancini shielding that. Markarin. Star. Notice how deep again Casaraghi has come. Well, this gives them poise again. They've been rattled. And one of the antidotes to that is simply keeping possession. Given away though by Mancini. Didn't want that. Not such a clever ball to him all the same. There's a space, and there's Abramov again. Can he get it? Oh, too much. Too obvious. And it's still 2-0. Well, the save that he really had to make, the one significant save, was from that viciously swerving corner kick. It shows you the quality of the goalkeeper, because I think he must have been getting a little bit cold out there, not having had all that much to do. Infinitely better performance by the Russians in the second half. Needed put back. Looking for a little 1-2, and again I think this time Krikov not up to that, not quick enough in the uptake. Oh, they'll take the time about it now. Just under 15 minutes remaining. Well, the kind of up and under stuff is not the Russian style. And crowded out again. This time the ball just touched away by Lopez, who's really had a very steady game. That's Mancini brought down. Well, certainly Eriksson must have seen something special in Lopez, bringing him here after 7 years with Vicenza. First season with Lациo. That's better play, looking inside. That could finish it. It doesn't though. came just a little bit too quickly, and I think it changed the route as well. Free kick. So Signori about to tread the turf again, as he's done in such a distinguished way for Lazio. His sixth season with the club, and by far the best scorer in the history of the club. Nice little scene there, Mancini, who scored a goal that Signori himself would have been proud of. Agonizingly for Italian football and Signori, and especially in the last World Cup. They could never quite decide whether he should play a kind of Baggio role or play right up front. He's such a good striker. Well, these players who are highly talented, but especially nationally, fell between two stools. There he is, coming on with about 13 minutes remaining. Marcolin. There's the pace, and the captain has decided to put himself forward. He's on his own now, looking for a little bit of support. And it comes inside, and there's appeal for a penalty kick. And the referee is waving play on. But again, brilliant play by Veritenikov. Slipped that inside there to the substitute Zubko. Oh, I think there was a touch. I really do think there was a touch there. Now then, referee doesn't have the benefit of the slow-mo as we have, but I think under these circumstances a higher percentage of referees would have awarded the penalty kick there, which is why I'm a great believer in the video replays for games. Italian fans singing their own version of the Marseillaise. Work that one out, if you will. So little time left for the Russians. I think they've been most unfortunate in the second half. Signori. The captain, Veritenikov, has run himself practically into the ground. Mistake there by Esipov. That was a sub there, Zubko. Making that thrust for goal. So, 10 minutes remaining. It's been all Volgograd. Oh, the last 20 minutes. And still they want to play it from the back on the ground. That is commendable. Playing it through the midfield, which is the best style in any case. Wonderful tackle there by Favalli. Giuseppe Favalli came from Cremonense 5 years ago. Very much a regular in the style And some little thrust across there, but the goalkeeper had that well covered. Well in his sights. Yes, always angled away from the goal. Well, just to be perverse, I've praised Mancini and Casaraghi. I'm going to make Veritenikov my man of the match. He hasn't had the support that the likes of Mancini and Casaraghi have had in this game. Been on his own most of the time. Signori loves this kind of situation. Will he go for it himself? Yes, he liked a little bit of support inside. Ooh, very dangerous to take that man on in a 1-on-1. Again, another player he reminds me of is Yuri Nikiforov. I think he's quicker than Nikiforov, former Spartak players now in Spain, but has the same kind of all-round ability. Now there goes Barkley. Offside, Casaraghi. That's about the 10th time he's been caught offside in the second half. This time I have to agree. Although, did you see the linesman, assistant referee, if you prefer that? Looked to me behind the play. They haven't given up. Not such a clever ball there by Esipov. Here's Berkatov. Russians in this burst now. This could be interesting. Well, I think the referee was right that time. The Russian player throwing himself. Now this could be the break here. Signore was screaming for the ball to be played to him earlier than that, and then it all became too late. 7 minutes left, or just about 6. Once again, the owners taken, and nobody in the middle, and that panicked at the Italian defence. And again, all coming from the run by Veritenikov. Well, that does betray a little bit of anxiety on the bench there, but after having watched that shot, that'll put them at ease again. Berkatov. One pass too many, and I think having dominated the team, Veritenikov was lying at the right-hand side there, and I think seeing his captain, he wanted to push it to him, kind of passing the buck, as it were. Russian lilting song in the background there from the Italian supporters, who have obviously a very wide repertoire. Now played to Olenikov, who's pushing forward just a little bit more, but I make it about 4 minutes remaining. Casaraghi gets the free kick out of it. Might have slightly embellished his flight through the air. Yes, he might get air miles for that. And he drops. He'll be quite satisfied with the way he put the first goal in the back of the net and how he laid on the second gloriously for Mancini. Driving it in there. Signori nowhere near that. And the goalkeeper, I think, had it well enough covered. There he is, number 3 again. Veritenikov. An outstanding talent, I think, and wasted much amongst such mediocrity near to him. It's all about pace. This one, and the goalkeeper should be there, yes. It's all over. No question about that. There's no way back for Volgograd. Nobody ever thought, certainly not to Eriksson, that this would be entirely easy, given what happened to Manchester United in Russia with this team a couple of seasons ago. And I think most of the hard work was done in Volgograd, which of course is the old Stalingrad in Russia. And you could say a rearguard action fought by the Italians in Volgograd was the basis upon which they showed how well they can score in a situation like this. Still they come forward. Oh, he didn't follow up for it quickly enough. And that's over. Well, they've come through a torrid spell. Partly, I think, because he decided that he would want to make sure that everything was tighter at the back and pulling players forward a bit more. This should go in. Yes, that's it. Signores, he's done so often. Lazio's greatest ever scorer finishes it off. The final nail driven in cruelly after all the possession that Volgograd have had in this game. And you know, coming on for only 10 minutes as he had as a substitute, this wasn't the easiest of chances. I know it's a 1-in-1, but he had somebody driving at his elbow. And I've seen many a chance like this blatantly missed. Eye in the ball, that's the key factor. 3-0. And now it's simply a countdown to the draw for the next round, which of course will be at the end of the week. Signori scored, of course, in the first game that they played against Guimarães, and they beat 4-0 and 2-1. He did it for Italy and Lazio, and the long driving shot there, I think symptomatic of a team that had been driven to frustration, and especially that man there, Oleg Veritenikov. Here's the goal again, the last one. Goalkeeper simply wasn't sure which side he was going to pick, and he hit it rather straight. I must say the Lациo fans have been in very good voice in this second half in particular. Seen 3 excellent goals. And a game that's always been interesting. It's never flagged. And even though the Italians got that early lead, a highly commendable performance of fortitude by the Russians. Certainly lacking in flair up front. I think any scout watching this game, watching Alexander Oleg Veritenikov, who's still only 27, so I think he's got about 4 good years in a midfield position left in him. I think they must have been mightily impressed. Kazaragi. And there goes the final whistle in the Olympic Stadium. Lazio are at last comfortably through. Might be a little false complexion, that 3-0, because at 2-0 the Russians pounded away on the barricades but got absolutely nothing out of it. And Lazio finished them, put them to the sword with Signori. Good crowd in here tonight in a stadium that takes some filling and takes some creation of atmosphere. But I think it all stemmed from the marvellous opening 2 goals. Wonderful strikes by Kazaragi and Mancini. And I'm quite sure that Mancini's goal will be one of the European goals of the season. Certainly the goal of the week. And if there's a bet